Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to another Funky Tuesday with me, Sarah Gray from Funky Fossil. I really can't quite believe they've let me back in the building after I crashed last week's workshop with Emma and Tony using Quattro D, but somehow I've snuck back in. So this afternoon, we're going to have lots of fun with the butterfly bundle that I bought you earlier this month, and which is still on the website. And we'll have a look at that in a second. But I'm going to make a couple of cards and hope that those of you that have got the products will craft along with me. But they're quite simple cards and projects as well. So you feel free to just adapt what I'm doing and craft along with anything that you've got in your stash. I'm already seeing lots of familiar names and faces, or names anyway, in the feed. So it's lovely that you're joining me this afternoon. And I just want to say hello to a few of you, if that's all right, before we get started. And I was going to say to you as well that I don't have the actual cards that we're going to be making in studio with me, but that will make it even more exciting for us all, won't it? Because we'll just have to work it out as we go along. And I'm sure you're used to that by now. So let me say hello to some of you. Michaela, good to see you. Carol, it looks like you're going to be busy there, Carol. Wendy, hi, good to see you. Steph, Amanda, Joe, Emma. Hi Emma, I hope you're okay. Looking forward to your Facebook tonight if you're still doing that. Roxy Lee, Donna, there may be some washi tape coming out this afternoon, so I hope you're prepared for that. Denise, good to see you as well. Thank you for joining me, because I know you were commenting you were going to tune in if you could. So, Maureen as well. It's great. It's just so lovely because there are so many names here that I recognise. So hopefully you're going to cheer me on and also craft along with me. And I think I've said before, I said in the last workshop, the last video that I did, or the broadcast that I did, that I haven't done a craft along before. So you're going to have to bear with me and heckle or ask questions or tell me to speed up or slow down as we go, because I'll really just make these cards in real time and see how we get on. So there are two cards that I wanted to share with you today. I was going to make a easel card, which I think is a very straightforward card, but do shout up in the comments if it's something that you've not done before. I'm sure many of you will be familiar with making easel cards, but we'll go through that process. I'm going to use some acetate to create a bit of a floating effect on the easel card. And then the other card I was going to make is another A6, but I'm going to cut away the edge around the butterfly to give that a bit of an unusual feel to it. So there's even going to be some fussy cutting this afternoon. I know, just saying. So should we get started, or do you want to have a quick look at the bundle itself before I start to do a demo? I think if we just look at, I think below the show, you'll be able to see the products that are available in the show. And look at that, isn't Tim good? I've added a few more units of the butterfly bundle because we were running very low of those. So if you haven't got it already and what you see today you like, that will still be available for you to buy. And also we've added on the watercolour rainbow paper pad, which has sold out a few times now, and the shibori paper pad as well, which is the one with the beautiful inky blues, which I'm going to use in the second card. So if you like that one, then definitely it's available. And the enamel dots with that are effectively free. So it's definitely a good price to get it at. So that's what we're going to talk through. But let's get down to some crafting, because I think that's what we all enjoy the most. And there are no embossing folders in today's show. So I feel no embossing folders and no shaker cards. So the list of things that I'm not going to do live is getting longer, isn't it? So we'll start with the easel card. And for those of you who haven't seen an easel card, effectively it is an A6 card where the front of it has been folded in half. You can see that, and I'll do that in a second. And that gives you the opportunity to put a panel on the front, so that when you have a stopper or something, a raised element at the front of it, it will stand up like that, rather than the kind of traditional way that a card will open for recipients. So it's just something a bit unusual. I'm making this at a relatively modest size in being A6, but of course you could do something much more dramatic and larger scale if you want to. But think this will be a really fun one to do. So yeah, do give me a shout if it's something you've not done before. But I'll talk you through the steps just of putting together that initial structure before we get down to some stamping and inking. So I've got a pre-scored A6 card blank here in white cardstock. And what I'm going to do is just measure halfway along the front of this so that I can put a fold in and we can create that kind of platform. Now, normally, if I'm being honest, I probably wouldn't measure this. I'd probably just fold it by eye. But you know, I'm doing things proper. I'm going to be a proper crafter this afternoon. So I'm just going to, because this is an A6 card, just measure about 7.4. Just using a pencil and ruler to do this, and then I'll be using my Eureka scoreboard to create that nice fold. I don't need to draw the line because with my scoreboard, so obviously you're only scoring the front of the card, the front panel, and just make sure it's actually in a groove. And we'll just score that down. This is going to be a much neater easel card than I normally make at home. So you can see that just folding nicely and giving us that front that I showed you and the pre-scored one that I'd done earlier. So really, really simple. The key, of course, with an easel card, and many of you will know this, I'm sure, is that when you're attaching things to the front, you're only attaching them to this front portion here, this front panel. You don't want to be adding anything at this top point because it won't open up like an easel. I say that because I've kind of done that before. So, so hopefully you've got your easel card already pre-folded. You've got your panel at the front here. And what I'm going to use for this easel card is, and I'm looking, of course, for the ever elusive acetate. I think it was Jo in the comments beforehand was saying she couldn't remember what was involved, but she could remember that we needed acetate, which is absolutely right. So all I need you to do is to cut an this is hard to show on screen, but to cut an A6 panel of acetate. It doesn't need to be like the strongest acetate in the world because it's not going to be construction weight necessarily. So anything you already have in your stash, just put it there on the Eureka base so you can see. Just an A6 panel. So that's going to give us something that will enable the butterflies that we're going to put on the front of the easel card, the effect of them floating or flying off the top of the card. So you'll need this. So we've now got the kind of two core elements of our A6 card that will enable us to build the structure. And we need to have a front panel decorated with our butterflies. So I'm going to get on with that. I'm just nosing in on the chat as we go. Hi, Elizabeth. Salt Lake City. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Nola, you've not missed much. You're fine. We're just literally making a start on this easel card. So you're easily able to catch up with us if you're going to craft along live, or if you're going to craft later, then you'll be able to start again from the beginning. So I've got an A6 piece of white card here for my card front, and I'm going to stamp the large butterfly flurry from the stamp set. So this is a kind of a cascade of butterflies that goes really across effectively the front of an A6 card. Scoreline measurements, Jo, it was 7.4 millimeters on an A6 card to give you that halfway line. Whatever size of card you're making, you basically just want to fold your front panel, your front of card front in half. So hopefully that makes sense. Right, let me stamp out the this large butterfly, and we're going to heat emboss this. Now I'm going to stick with, I think you saw from kind of some of the images that we shared before the workshop, you can do this in any colourway that appeals to you. So go with your favourite colours and your favourite embossing folders, embossing powders. I'm going to go with a more kind of antique colour palette in kind of browns and creams. So I am going to heat emboss my butterflies with a wow powder, which is called Luxurious Chocolate. I think I've used that before. I think I'm just very partial to the name of it, really. But it gives a lovely kind of dark browny gold tone. And something I've done before as well, when I'm heat embossing quite a large image, is I'm going to stamp it in a coloured ink. You could stamp it in your embossing ink, your wow embossing pad, but I figure that if I get some colour down on here, then the embossing powder will accentuate the image, but if it doesn't completely cover it, I'm not going to lose the detail. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me just get a little bit of paper to capture the embossing powder, hoping I'm not using anything too precious under the counter. So just fold that so I can catch our embossing powder as we go. And I'm going to be good. I'm on my best behaviour today. Are you asking on the counter here, Amanda, about embossing the confetti inks? I will be using them. They are stunning. So I'm going to use some anti-static powder to try and ensure that my embossing remains fairly clean. And I'm going to stamp with Acorn, one of the VersaFine Clairs. This is a large image. Of course, my Eureka is going to come in handy here. I do love this butterfly cascade because it's kind of got solid butterflies in it and detailed butterflies as well. So there's not actually a huge amount to colour if you don't want to. But it gives you that kind of variation in look with the solid silhouette butterflies and the detailed ones as well. Although I don't need to tell you that, do I? Because I've seen some amazing samples on the group. So thank you all, those of you that have bought it, for sharing what you've been making. I've loved seeing some of the fantastic cards. So I'm just moving up and down this image. Let's see what we've got. That's nice. So I'm going to literally put some embossing powder over it straight away. And we're going to stamp and emboss 2 of these panels. And the reason for that being is one will be our card front, and the other one, I want to cut out a few of the little butterflies and have them floating off on the acetate. So the nice thing about that is if you've got to stamp and heat emboss it twice, if one of them comes out better than the other, jobs are good, and you'll be able to use that one as your card front. So I'm going to, before I heat set this panel, I'm going to stamp it again. All very simple. Oh, Elizabeth, you bought it, have you? Thank you so much. Have you got it already? Fantastic. Well, hopefully this will give you a project to get you started with getting it out of the packet. Hi, Shirley. Good to see you too. Right. So literally just repeating that same step again. Heat embossing our butterflies in this dark brown. Although I'd love to know if there's colours that you'll be using, which are your signature colours. And of course, there's some fab embossing powders that Tony's bought us that you could be using too. I'm going to use the, is it the Be Bold? The first set of embossing powders on the second card. If we get to it, if it's not already like midnight. Right. I think I've given this one enough pressure. There we go. Lovely, stamped perfectly. That foam really does make a difference, doesn't it, in terms of getting a good impression. The second lot of embossing powder. And I'm sure I've said before about this particular Wow powder, this luxurious chocolate. One of the things I think is really nice about it is it has the gold tones really come through when you melt it. So it can look quite dark initially, but once you've got that kind of melted effect, it's got a real kind of golden glow to it. Now, I didn't use my anti-static bag on that second panel. And I don't know whether that's going to be particularly visible to you, but I can see it here in the studio, so it's just a good reminder. It won't matter because I can use this one to cut my butterflies out, but there's just a little bit more speckling on this one because I didn't use the anti-static powder beforehand. So it is definitely a step worth taking when you want something really clean and crisp. Right, I am going to, Joey, you crafting along. That slows you down on the keyboard, doesn't it, when you're trying to craft as well? Right, let me heat these up and we can see where we go next. There we go. I'm going to burn my fingers because I'm looking at the chat and not where the heat gun's going. There we are. There's some really diddy little butterflies on here. Straight onto the second one, it'll only take a second. A super powered heat gun. There we go. I do love that image because it effectively just covers an A6 card front without, you just add a sentiment and the job's done for you. You go with you're going with some pink, Donna, or is that the colour you would go with? Right. Oh, you've got your bundle as well, Denise. Sorry, I am getting really distracted with the chat. So we've got two panels now. Only one of them obviously needs to be adhered to the front of our easel card. And what I want to do is cut the image so that the top half of the butterflies is going to be appearing over the top of the easel panel. So it almost be like they're flying off the card. And that's where the acetate behind it will come into effect in terms of just giving it a little bit of robustness. So let me draw a line and we can see where we're going to cut this. And what I will do is I'll just go 8 centimetres up this card, because if you remember, this front panel is 7.5, or around 7.5. So if I go 8, I can be guaranteed that the solid bit with the butterflies on it is going to completely cover this this kind of back panel here. So you could be more precise than that if you wanted to, but I'm just going to go with 8 because I know it will give me a bit of clearance. Now, this time I am going to draw the line because that's going to be where we cut. If you're in the UK, I hope you've all had a good bank holiday weekend. Line that up so you can see. I'm not drawing through the butterflies. I am literally drawing up to them and the other side, because that will enable us to cut the butterflies out without any pencil showing. And so this is where my cutting out skills are put to the test. And they'll be even more tested if I don't have any scissors, but I found them. I'm going to start with a big pair of scissors for my straight line, and then we'll go on to something a bit smaller for our actual butterflies themselves. Thank you, Emma. You like the chocolate colour? Well, it's not pink, is it? So, you know, I thought I'd go for something a bit different. Oh, I don't know. These magnets are picking up everything on the cutting mat. You know, I can't see my smaller scissors, so I am going to now live attempt to cut this out with basically shears, unless Tim can see some that can help me out. Oh yeah, the Diddy ones, they'd be amazing. Thank you. Thank you. I do have them in my bag somewhere. Fortunately, everyone, you've been saved. I'm not going to cut the butterflies out with shears. I've got little snippers. So you can take your time with this, obviously. And I'm leaving a bit of kind of white space around the butterflies. I'm not looking to go in on right up close to them around the whole image, because obviously we want them to stay in one piece as a cascade. So it's just effectively following the shape of those butterflies, or the overall shape of them. Yeah, pink does go very well with chocolate, Emma. You are right. But I'm not going to use any pink, so you'll have to add your own. Looks like you're not doing well, Mary. Right. I must keep my eyes on the sharp blade in front of me. You hear my stomach go then? Right. So where I'm coming up to, the line that we've drawn, can you see how that will effectively create that curve? So when we attach this to the front of our card, the butterflies will kind of disappear into the distance. Now, you don't, in all honesty, you wouldn't necessarily, if you've got relatively good weight of cardstock, you wouldn't necessarily even need an acetate panel here just for that. But if we add a few separate butterflies to be floating around, then obviously you will need something that that they will be able to be attached to. And that's where our second panel will come in. So let's add a little bit of colour to a few of these butterflies. What I thought I'd do is just add colour to the ones above the line. So it's almost as if as they go up into the air, they kind of become more vibrant. And I'm going to, because I can't help myself, I'm going to have a play with these confetti inks, because they are, I think, use a term that Emma would use. They are lush. So we'll just, so literally activated the ink or the watercolour by spritzing into a lovely, I just love how kind of big this and wide this area is, because we can pick it up, put it into our lid. And because we've got embossed butterflies, it's one of my favourite ways to watercolour, because I know that I don't need to worry about staying inside the lines, because the embossed surface will give me that little bit of resist. And the shine on these when they're dry is just ridiculous. Fantastic. So in the sample images that you saw at the beginning, I think I'd used a jelly roll pen, a Sakura jelly roll pen, to give me the kind of the gold on the wings. So if you've got something like that, absolutely, that will do the job for you too. So it's not, the confetti ink isn't an essential, but it's definitely wonderful to have. I'm sorry, I've moved on to the second panel here as well, but I'm just literally going to pick out a couple of the butterflies that I want to cut out and add to the card front. So again, this isn't about necessarily colouring in the whole image, but if you're having fun doing that, then definitely take your time and enjoy it. So this is the blue one. The blue I've got here is the lagoon. Same as I did with the mushroom. Generous. I'm going to use the same lid from the mushroom. Generous kind of dose of water. Get that activated. And then we'll just go in and add a bit of colour to a few of the wings. And I know Shirley's got all these confetti inks because I saw your haul picture. So hopefully you've had those out and had a play with them. Right, one more butterfly. And I'll go with this one that's side angle. So you can see, I mean, obviously I'm using no skill and taking very little time over it because the embossing powder is holding that colour for me, so I don't need to worry about it. Donna, your cards weren't A6, so you're having to adapt your measurements. The thing with easel cards is dead easy because you just really need to go with halfway down that front card panel, whatever size of card you're making. So let me just cut out these two butterflies that we've added colour to that we're going to have as separate elements to the main cascade. And you can see I've not coloured everything in because I do just want these to be kind of spotlights of colour as we go off the card. And in terms of fussy cutting, I don't know if I've got any. Yeah, I've got it on the counter here. I think Laura's watching, but Laura fussy cut the butterflies out from the washi tape that comes in this bundle. I mean, how stunning does that look? So, I mean, I don't know how she's even got the antennae out. Amazing. But yeah, so she's going to put my fussy cutting to shame, but I just think that's a stunning card. So if you feel inclined to add some of the washi butterflies in your cascade, then you absolutely can. You can do what Laura did and put them onto a piece of maybe kind of white card, cut them out, and you've got little butterfly embellishments to work with. I, however, am massacring this butterfly and taking its antennae out. I've got no time for antennae on this show. Who hates it, Jane? Yeah, I know. I'm not a great fussy cutting fan either. Sometimes the end justifies the means, though. And I just think that nice bit, you wouldn't need to do this. You could literally just go with the cascade of butterflies and go round the outside as I have. You don't need to have these individual elements. I just think it adds a fun touch if you've got the acetate there to have that extra little bit of design that's floating off. However, I feel your pain. And I wouldn't have been cutting these out if I'd had to use the shears that I started this demo with. I don't think I'd have had fingers left, let alone antennae. So here we go. So we've got two cute little butterflies that we can add to our cascade. So that's really all that second heat embossed image is going to be used for. But of course, you could colour the whole thing in and take out as many butterflies as you want for other projects. I'm just going to stick with the two for now. Now, I think this is looking fab, but it's just a little bit stark. So what I want to do is add a bit of colour. And the thing also you need to think about with an easel card is how you're going to decorate this bottom platform here, because that's equally going to be integral to the design. So it's time to get out some the blending brushes and some inks, and we'll just add a little bit of quick little bit of inking and stenciling. Of course, the bundle comes with 2 stencils with that kind of butterfly elements in it, but in a quite a distressed vintage look. Now you could have added this inking before you did your stamping. That would be absolutely fine. The only reason I've done it this way around is because I knew I was going to heat emboss and I didn't want to worry about the distress ink still being damp and picking up embossing powder. But you could, and I think when I made my samples, I think I did my inking first, and then once I knew that ink was dry, then I went in with my stamped focal points. So again, whatever works best for you. So I'm going to use, so that was antique linen. I'm going to use a bit of ground espresso just to add a little bit of depth around the edges. Who loves Fussy? Shirley, right. I need to address Shirley. Your skills, I'm sure, will be in high demand. Although really I should just get Laura to do all my fussy cutting, shouldn't I? Right, so you can see then, I've not gone right to the top of this panel again. I'm wanting this kind of the colour to almost kind of fade as the butterflies kind of emerge from the base. So again, you don't need to cover the whole thing. What we do need to do though is decorate this bottom panel. Now, again, you could decorate this the card blank itself. I'm going to decorate a separate A6 card panel that I can adhere to this. It adds a little bit of weight and substance, but I'm not putting anything massively heavy on here. So for me, it's just ease in demo purposes, but you could simply just decorate the card base itself if that's easier for you to do and you're not using as much card that way. But I do find this easy just to keep all my different sections separate to start with, and then we can build it at the end. So back with my antique linen, and what I want to do here now is create on the kind of this bottom panel an inked section that will look like it's almost kind of melts into the front facing part of the card. Probably easier for me to show you than describe it. Yeah, what are you doing? What are you making a mess with? Hopefully it's a fun mess. And I'm hoping if anybody kind of makes one of the projects from today, that you do kind of share it on the group and show us what it is you made, what colours you went with, how maybe you adapted the design. Because again, they're all just starting off points, aren't they? And none of them are. Most things I make, the next time I make it, I tweak it slightly or do something different because the idea is kind of a spark by the first design. So don't feel constrained to just do exactly what I'm doing here. So that's given us a bit of a, it's going to match the front panel. But let's add a little bit of stencil detail because it's just the law. And this is my very dirty stencil that I still haven't managed to clean from the last time I was here. Fortunately, I'm going with browns, so any any contamination of colour should probably work out okay. Now, I don't want this stenciling to be really stark and strong, so I'm going to, because I want it to kind of almost fade out a little bit. So I haven't loaded my brush up particularly heavily here. I've gone in with the ground espresso because I do want you to be able to see it a little bit, but I've not put lots of ink on. What have you done, Jack? Oh no. embossing powder and fans. It's not a good combo. So let's see what we've got showing up here. So yeah, it's exactly what I wanted. It's something fairly pale because we do want to put our sentiment and things on the top of that. So we don't want it to be fighting too much with that. And I just a little touch. Again, this is about trying to create that seamless look. I'm just adding a little touch of that stenciling at the front, not extending beyond the inking that we've done. So hopefully you can see how those two panels will line up when we put our card in that upright easel position. Have you made your own custom embossing powder, Joe? So you can see that the stencils there, that's one of the two stencils. I'm going to use the other stencil, the butterfly text stencil, on my second card. So you can see how well they work with these stamps and dies in this bundle. I really did try to put a bundle together that would give you lots of options and hopefully cater for all different styles, whether it's vintage, whether it's bright. And I've seen from lots of the samples that you've been sharing that it's done exactly that. You've all put your own spin on it. Quick wipe down of the mats. I think Tony might be in the building, so I don't want it to come in and tell me off for making. Right. So we've got the bones of our easel card here. So let me put the acetate on the front panel. Let's start to build it. And then what we will need is a stopper. We'll need something that will hold that front panel upright. So that's where the book image from the stamp set will come in. Of course, I will have now, there it is. I'll say I will have now lost my acetate, which I think I do on an hourly basis. So here's where we see, I'm going to use some wet glue. I'm just going to add the glue to this front panel. So the panel that, when we've folded it over, is the bottom half of that fold. So this is where the adhesive needs to go so that the card will stand up with the decorated panel on it. And of course, we don't need to worry about the glue showing with this acetate because we know we're going to be covering it with the stamped panel as well. It's one of the challenges with acetate, isn't it? Oh, thank you, Shirley. Right. So, but you probably can't see the acetate just at the top there. So when I adhere the stamped front panel is going to have the acetate behind it to adhere to. So let's do that now. Is anybody keeping up with me? And if you're not, is it something you're going to do later? I must admit, I do often watch people and then make it to a later date. Kind of, you don't always know where they're going to go next. Certainly with my demos anyway. So there we go. So we've got, you see that? Missed the bottom there, but it won't matter because we can hide that. But I might have some washi tape that will do that job for us. You can see there how that's now kind of floating. And I haven't adhered this to the acetate, but I will do once I've placed our couple of embellishment butterflies that we stamped and cut out separately. So when somebody gets in the post, I think it's really attractive in its own right before they stand it up, if you know what I mean. So I've got these two tiny little butterflies that we've cut out. And I think we'll have one just popping up here. And then the blue one. And again, remember, you can add as many further embellishments and butterflies to this as you want to. It really is This is just the start of an idea that you could take much further. So let me add just a spot of glue, excuse me, just to the back here so that we can have our butterflies adhering to the acetate. And hopefully you're kind of getting the idea now of how that will look when it's standing upright. Okay, so we've still got our front, the bottom panel to do. And of course, the key thing is, as you can see, we need a stopper, something that's going to hold that front panel in place. So let me just adhere the base panel to the card. As I say, you may have just decorated the card itself. You don't necessarily need to have used a separate piece for this. We'll add a little bit more weight to the final structure. It's not essential. So we've now got that kind of ink kind of moving up the card as we go. So we need a stopper. And of course, the fantastic thing with this stamp set is that open book, because if we put a book as our stopper, it will look like the butterflies are flying out of it. Well, that's what I think. So let me just get another piece of card. You found it stressful, did you? Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. I love acetate and vellum, are things I love to use in card making, but it's about trying to find ways you can incorporate them, isn't it? Where they're not kind of, what's the word? They're not kind of, the adhesive, etc., isn't kind of getting in the way. Let me just take this big butterfly cascade off here. A big old stamp. So we're just picking up the open book and a bit more of the acorn, the Versifying Clair. Super quick. There we go, open book. And this one isn't going to be too complicated to put out, so I think we can relax a little bit now. So here we go, just quickly going around the outside here. So funny, isn't it? You get used to your own scissors, even though they're all the same brands, but somehow they all feel like they work a bit differently. So have you all got kind of crafty plans for the rest of the week? Did you get crafting done over the weekend? Joe, this is meant to be a pleasurable activity. It was concerning me that you seem to be in some state of stress. What we're doing? I'm distracted. Honestly, I'm so easily distracted. Here we go. So literally add a little bit of the mushroom, beautiful mushroom, to our book. I don't know if you saw Emma last week when we were playing with the Quadra D, and she was using it on this confetti ink on black cardstock, and it really just pops beautifully. And of course the colours end up looking different as well. So super quick. I'm not taking much care on this at all. I'm just giving you the idea. We've got that there. And we can add our stopper. So of course the key to your stopper on your easel card is that you want it to have some dimension, because obviously you want it to stop the card from slipping forward. So I've got my tried and tested jumbo roll of foam tape, which is far too big for this job. I'm going to try and tear it. I forgot my foam pads, basically. I'll put one there. On the back of the book. I'm sticking to myself. So the key then really is deciding where or how far up the front panel you want your stopper to go in order to get the kind of the rise that you're looking for on your stepper itself. I think that's looking pretty good. And a quick sentiment, and do you know what, I'm going to add some, it's bugging me, this bit at the bottom that's white is really bugging me. And I know, and I think Donna's still watching, and I know how much she loves the washi tape used on cards. So I'm going to just use some of the script washi tape that comes in this bundle. There's 3 gorgeous washi tapes to this, so I'm just going to put a little bit along the base here. Oops. It's just bugging me, you know, when something really kind of, every time you look at it, it catches your eye. But you could, of course, ink it yourself and just make sure that you don't have any inky edges. So white edges showing through. You can also tear your washi tape, so you can use it as little bits of accent. So we can have some appearing under our book here. It doesn't always need to be a massive amount, but it can just add a little bit of interest to your design. Quick sentiments from our stamp sets. We'll go with without imagination, we have no wings. And I'm just going to borrow a stamping block. Do that quickly. Oh, I'll tell you what I've done now. I'm going to put this towards the top of the stamping block rather than in the centre, because of course I've got my raised element here with the stopper. You could do this on a separate piece of card and adhere it, but of course I just don't want to have the acrylic block not make contact because I've got my raised book. So without imagination, we have no wings. And that, although I've just realised how wonky my book looks, I think just shows, I'll say how quickly, but I'll probably find out I've been whittering on for about 3 hours. But you can see that. I just think it just gives it a slightly unusual twist. I think easel cards have been around for quite a while, certainly for as long as I've been card making, but just having that bit of acetate at the top so you can have those elements floating free. You could have some enamel dots on there. It just kind of enables you to give somebody something that's maybe they wouldn't normally receive as a card. So I hope you like that one. Have you got it in you to wait with me to just do another quick card? And it is a quick card. This one is much more straightforward. I'm not going to do any major construction on this. So the bundle, obviously, that I'm sharing with you is the butterfly bundle with the stamp sets, the die sets, a die set that goes with it, 2 stencils, 3 rolls of washi tape, and some MDF. So it's a fantastic kind of all-rounder bundle. And the washies are different sizes as well. So you've got the kind of I think the one when I was on earlier this month, I'm doing demos with it. I really kind of focused in on the washi tapes. And they're different sizes. I'm looking around behind me to see if I can see the cards that I made. But you've got the one with the beautiful butterflies on itself, the vintage butterflies, is like 30 mil wide. And then we've got the script, which you've just seen me use with the book. That is 15 mil wide. And then the washi tape I'm going to use on the next card, which is just gorgeous, is a black washi tape with white words all around it. And therefore you can use it almost kind of for sentiments, and that's about 10 mil wide. But it's perfect if you lay that out on a piece of white card and just cut up the words, you've got sentiments just quick to go. Right, another A6 card is on its way. I don't want to take up your whole afternoon. So A6 card, this time we're going to go, I never get this right around, landscape. So we're going to go a side folding card. And what I want to do is to really, because I haven't, in all the demos I've done and over the couple of shows, I really haven't worked with the large floral butterfly from the stamp set. And I just felt I couldn't leave you without sharing how gorgeous this image is. So we're going to do a bit of heat embossing, and what we're going to do is then cut around the floral element of this butterfly to give ourselves a nice shaped edge. And it's all about simple techniques, but giving them a little bit of a twist. So here we go. So we've got this butterfly, large butterfly, which has the kind of the standard wing, the traditional wing, and then it's got the wing that's made up of flowers and leaves. Absolutely lovely. And I'm going to heat emboss this with the wonderful kind of blush colours from Tony's first collection, because I think they'll work beautifully with the dark blues that I'm going to use as a background paper, so that it gives some contrast for the butterfly wing itself. I'll just leave Jo to clear up the the mess that she's made on the first card. I don't know if you'll get to the second card, Jo. Right. Anti-static bag. Dust ourselves down. I'm making an absolute mess all over this counter, unearthing my embossing pads, my Wow embossing pads. It's a big image. Plenty of ink on there. And what I've done is I've placed this butterfly towards the right-hand edge. So I've not centered it on this card panel, because when we cut round the wing, I want it to kind of create the edge of the card, if that makes sense. Right, I think I've given that enough welly. I'm having a hot flush too, Jo, so you're not on your own there. Yeah, it's more embossing. I am slightly addicted to heat embossing, I think. So, as you've seen me do many times before, or you may have seen me do many times before, I'm going to use the slightly more matte, the marbled one of this collection called Perfection. I'm going to use that in the centre of the butterfly, and then we'll go out towards the edges with the glittery powder. How beautiful that colour is. It's going to give us quite a delicate look. Can you see there? I've only caught the kind of middle of the butterfly itself. Ooh. I have to get a new pot of Tony. I've just put it all on the glass mat. So then we'll go in with the glitter, the Be Bold, and we'll get that. Again, completely up to you. No need to use two different embossing powders on your image if you don't want to. It's just another idea, because if you don't want to colour this in, and I won't colour all of it in anyway, but if you don't want to colour it in, you wouldn't need to. You've got some interest there in the way, oh, look at this, what a mess. What a mess. But you've got some variation there, haven't you, in the way that the embossing powders will will sit. Fortunately, I don't think I need to do any more stamping on this platform in this show, so I'm going to leave the carnage I've created in the on the foam to tidy up after the show. Let's give this a quick heat emboss. But again, you can see straight away from the way this is stamped out on the A6 card front. If you make smaller cards, I know some of you make much bigger cards. If you make smaller cards, something like this pretty much covers your image, covers your project for you in one go. Back on with the heat gun. A very delicate butterfly. There we go. So from a construction perspective, the key thing in terms of just giving you the idea of where I'm going with this is that in terms of the card front, we're going to cut down the middle of this butterfly, just like we did with the easel card. We're just going to cut away. So if I just draw a line, you'll see what I mean. So I'm just going to cut away either side of this line, so that the floral wing of the butterfly stands out. And again, I won't do this in any particular detail. It's just to give you that idea. And if you've got detailed images, large images, this is just a lovely way of giving, again, a slightly different edge to your project. And I am really getting slapdash now with my cutting out. There we go. That's as detailed as I need it to be. So you get my drift. So what we'll do then on this front card panel, you see, you'll have the image, you'll have the paper shown behind. So if we cut away the bit of the panel we don't want to see with my big shears, I'm just going to eyeball this. It doesn't need to be exact. Literally, I can't cut a straight line. Now I can't even see my shears. You'd think that'd be the one thing I could see. Here they are. So, take more time than I'm doing. However, what you can see is you're going to have your card with that wing free floating. Now, what you need to do, obviously, when you've got a card looking like that, is you want to then add some contrast behind that wing, so that detail is really going to kind of pop out for you. And all I've done with my blush cards, I've done different colourways, but I'm using the Shibori pads. So it's one of the 2 paper pads that we've added to the show. You can find underneath this this video. And I have literally, I'm going to just do this by eye. So I'm going to use that beautiful blue. No, I'm putting things down and then they disappear. Here we go. So again, measuring and guillotines however works best for you. I just want you to be able to see how stunning that butterfly will look when you've got that inky blue behind it. So that's what will give your card, whatever contrast that you create, that will give your card that that pop. So I'm just going to adhere this panel. I told you this was a quick and easy one. Adhere this panel to the front. And we'll adhere this paper to the base with my brilliant gluing technique. And there you can see. So all I would need to do now would be to add a little bit of colour to the butterfly's wings itself, which again, the confetti inks would look amazing. And to add a sentiment then on this side, which again, we could use our fabulous tape. And I'll go with shine. And I won't even, I'm being a rebel, I won't even put it on some white paper because the white cardstock will give me that contrast. The word will come through like this. And then all we need to do is add the colour of your choice, depending on how you've embossed it. I would probably go in with some nice rich blues into the wings. But you can see there how with the contrast card behind it, or the contrast paper behind it in this case, that wing is going to really kind of stand out. So that is a really quick second demo, but I wanted to spend a bit more time on the easel card just because it isn't always as easy just to talk that through without showing you the steps. But hopefully the idea of just having a card front with a cutout element to give you a bit of a detailed edge for the second card is one that would be quick and easy for you to do as well. So you probably didn't craft along with me on that one because I kind of went up a gear, but it will give you something to make if you do get this bundle. So I think that is everything I wanted to share with you on this Funky Tuesday. It's our second show with this butterfly bundle. So when I'm back again in September, it will be different products. So watch out for when I'm next on the How to Craft Network, because you'll be able to see what it is I'm bringing for September. But in the meantime, Tim's just saying to me that you can scan kind of the code for the next live broadcast. So you'll be able to keep up with what we've got coming up and when you'll next see me on the channel. Hopefully they'll let me back. And I've really enjoyed your company. I always love watching the feed and seeing all the comments and chat that's there. It's great that you spend the time with me on a Tuesday. Hopefully you'll make some of these projects and share them in the group and I can comment and I'll certainly be looking out for them. But in the meantime, thank you very much. Hope you have a lovely rest of the day and come back and join us again on How to Craft Network very, very soon. See you again soon. Bye.